2024 has been a great year for new RC releases. I've been fortunate enough to review a whole load of RCs on the channel, and in this video I'm going to go through my top 10 releases of the year. So coming in at number 10, we've got the RC 4-wheel drive K10 Scottsdale. Now this is a super scale rig from RC 4-wheel drive. It was kind of my first experience of an RC 4-wheel drive leaf sprung rig. And although they are quite expensive and maybe not the best performers out of the box, it is a different experience. And there's another rig later on we'll get to, but really changed my kind of like idea of crawling in some respects. The reason this thing made my top 10 was it looks fantastic. You know, I really like the look of that K10 Scottsdale body, and it actually performed way better than I thought it was going to do. You know, when I was hitting the usual kind of crawling spots, doing the mud bank climbs and stuff, I was really surprised how well it did. You know, considering it's a hard body, it's quite top heavy, it climbed really well, and the grip on the stock tires was absolutely fantastic. So yeah, it really surprised me, to be perfectly honest. And if you're looking for something that's super scale, you're a Chevy fan, then it's definitely one to consider, and that's why it made number 10 in my list. And coming in at number 9, we've actually got the MN168. Now, I actually reviewed this recently, and for $65, it actually really surprised me. You know, a lot of the cheap rigs, you know, you've got to take them with a pinch of salt. You know, you get what you pay for sometimes, and it's more kind of like a nice looking body, but the electrics aren't up to much. The suspension's a load of rubbish, your tires are junk and stuff like that. But this thing was actually pretty decent, you know, really nice looking scale classic Range Rover body. I love the fact that it actually had opening doors, fully interior in there, bar some missing gear knobs and stuff like that. But yeah, looked really nice. I mean, okay, the wheels are a bit silly and oversized, but it actually performed pretty decently for, you know, a $65 rig. And yeah, it surprised me. And I thought it deserved to be on the list just for the sheer fact that for a budget rig, it's actually a budget rig that you could buy and maybe just change the wheels and tires, and it would actually be pretty decent. So yeah, I definitely thought it just deserved to be on the list, and that's why it made number 9. I'm actually looking forward to doing some upgrades with it in the new year, so if it's something you're interested in, then be sure to make sure you follow the channel and look out for the updates on that. Number 8, we've got the Red Cat Ascent 18. Now, for a mini crawler, especially a mini crawler on a budget, then I think this is a really good rig. You know, out of the box, the actual performance is pretty decent. You know, stock tires are pretty decent. Slow speed controls are right. You know, it's a little bit overgeared in my opinion. It does run away with itself a little bit, but for an out of the box rig with, you know, ready to run electronics, it did really well. When they first released it, it was $99. Now you can buy it for $120. They've recently just released the Scout 2 version as well, which is like $149, I think it is. But if you're looking for an alternative, you know, the usual TRX 4M and stuff like that, it's a really capable and really good value for money rig, in my opinion. Coming in at number 7, we've got one of the latest releases from FMS, the FCX10 LC80. Now, obviously, there was a lot of hype about this rig when it got released. I really like the look of the body. You know, it's not a hard body, it is a Lexan, but I think for a Lexan body, it looks pretty nice. And I much prefer it with the different front bumper on there. I love the fact that you've got the interior for it. You know, it's got their new quick release design for the body and stuff, but to be honest, I didn't have any issues with the previous design on the K5 that they did. This would have been higher up on the list, to be honest, but I think with the price, the fact that, you know, they took some of the extra features away, and I appreciate not everybody likes all the bells and whistles and stuff like that, but, you know, value for money goes a long way in my opinion. And I think, you know, at like what, $299 when they first released it, and then it was meant to go up to $349, you know, you're only talking a $50 difference between that and the full-blown FCX10, and you're missing out on, like, you know, the 11-channel transmitter, the portal axles, you haven't got the dig, you haven't got the locking diffs. You know, it's a lot of functionality difference for not a lot of massive difference in money. But out of the box, you know, I mean, it's got a really nice 6-channel transmitter. You know, the stock electronics are really good. It does have great slow speed control. You've got a 2-speed gearbox. If you're more into scale, you've got straight axles. For what it is and how well it performs out the box, it definitely deserved being on the list. I just think if it was a little bit cheaper, it would have been higher up the list. Number 6 on the list, we've got another release from FMS, the little FCX24M. It's a little 24th scale mini crawler. It was actually really nice that it was more like a true 24th scale. This thing is tiny. You can get it in 4 different stars. You've got a D90, a D110, and then my favourites, the Range Rover and the Discovery. I think the Range Rover and the Discovery look really, really good. The Range Rover performs the best out of the box. I was really surprised how well these little things performed. FMS have basically had these for sale for $99 for a while now. I'm hoping they keep it at that price, because at that price, it's just ridiculous. You know, you've got a 2-speed gearbox, you've got metal gears, you've got really nice slow speed control, nice scale hard body. Yeah, I mean, it's just excellent value for money in my opinion. And things like an SCX24 just can't compete. I mean, you know, it's cheaper, it's got more functionality, it's better out of the box. I mean, you know, it ticks all the boxes in my opinion. And yeah, I was really, really impressed with it. And again, FMS knocking it out of the park again and are competing with the big boys. You know, you don't have to buy overpriced, underperforming stuff all the time. You know, you can actually buy decent, ready to run rigs that perform. Coming in at number 5, we've got another release from FMS. Don't worry, they're not all going to be FMS releases, but we got the FCX18 K10, but this one is the flatbed mod from FMS RC. Now, I did like the standard FCX18 K10, and if you've seen my farm truck build, you know, it's kind of got a special place in my heart now, to be quite honest. And the flatbed mod from FMS RC was what gave me that idea. When I reviewed this thing, I was like, wow, okay, this is really, really good. You know, that flatbed on the rear made a massive difference to its out-of-the-box performing for climbing and stuff like that. The Batrazi tyres, absolutely brilliant. You know, for, again, value for money, and its performance out of the box was absolutely fantastic. You know, you've got a half body, obviously on this one it's like a half cab, and then you've got a 3D printed rear bed. You've got Paul axles, you've got a 2-speed gearbox, you've got excellent slow speed control, and also with the electronics, you know, you can do things like rear wheel steer. There's loads of functionality on the stock electronics, and yeah, just really, really good value for money. If you love a Chevy and you want a kind of flatbed, maybe you want to do like a recovery truck or a farm truck like I did or something like that, or even just run it as it is, it's definitely worth considering. And yeah, was one of my favorite releases of the year as well, just because it just looks so cool and it was something a bit different. Coming at number 4 on my list, we've got another release from FMS. Not my fault they released so many good releases this year, but we've got the FCX24 K5 Pro. Now, 2 reasons this is on my list. 1, value for money. I think it's excellent value for money with all the metal gears and everything, the brushless system, the hard body. You know, they had this on sale recently, I think, for $159, but at its full price, it was only $40 more than a stock FCX24, which is just crazy considering the upgrades that it comes with. Second thing is performance. You know, the slow speed control on that brushless system is really, really nice. You know, they do perform really, really well. You know, you're always going to upgrade your rigs, but you know, the FCX24 platform, in my opinion, is one of the best mini crawler platforms you can get. You know, you've got that 2-speed gearbox, you've got portal axles, like I said with this one, obviously you've got all your metal gears, and with that brushless system as well, it just ticks all the boxes. And when you consider the difference in price, you know, extra $40 for a K5 Pro over a normal K5, it's a no-brainer. Coming at number 3, we got the RC 4-wheel drive 1982 pickup. I absolutely love this thing. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, they're not the most capable rigs and they are quite expensive, but I really, really enjoy using this. And actually, towards the end of 2024, I probably ended up using this more than most of my other rigs. I was taking it to events. I was really enjoying using it. I really enjoyed the challenge that a kind of hard body with leaf springs gives you. You know, for your money, you're getting a fully licensed 1982 Toyota pickup. Really nice scale hard body. I'll get that interior in there as well. It's a shame like the doors don't open and stuff like that, but it is dead easy to get to the interior if you do want to fit a driver and stuff in there. I like the fact that they switched to the under axle leaf spring design, you know, gives you some better performance. You know, I do think they do need to upgrade their electronics. You know, the stock electronics aren't the best, and that radio is just literally looks like it's from the 80s. It's like I've walked into an old BT store and picked up a radio they used on Back to the Future or something. It's, yeah, just, they definitely need to change that because it's just awful in my opinion. But other than that, I really like the rig. I've actually upgraded mine. I fit a Fusion SE brushless system in it. I've changed the radio gear, and it is so nice to drive. And I mentioned earlier when I talked about the K10 Scottsdale about how one of the rigs in this video, you know, changed my thoughts on crawling. it was this rig. You know, I love a bit of flex and, you know, I love crawling. As you can tell from my channel, you know, it's one of my favorite things to do with the hobby. I do a lot of crawling. I do a lot of events throughout the year. And this thing was such a pleasure to use. Just the way it moved, the way it looked, the challenges that you had to come up against, and picking different lines and how obstacles were harder to get over. You know, it just added another really nice element to crawling for me. I've really enjoyed using it, and I will definitely be using it loads more in 2025 as well, because yeah, it is such a cool rig. Coming at number 2, we got another mini crawler, the Hobby Plus CR18P Evo Pro. This actually made number 1 on my top 5 mini crawlers of 2024. I absolutely love this thing. This is my go-to rig for testing out wheels and tires and things like that, because it is just such a good rig. In my opinion, excellent value for money. Depending on where you get it from, it'll cost you maybe about $200, but for that you get a really nice LCG chassis with loads of adjustment on shock mounting positions and stuff like that. Got that brushless FuriTech system in with the outrunner motor, which is just absolutely fantastic. Amazing slow speed control. You've got a 2-speed gearbox, you've got metal gears, you've got portal axles, comes with a decent steering servo. Yeah, I absolutely love this thing. It is just such a cool looking rig. I actually really like the Hobby Plus version with the Lexan body, where you leave the front section clear and you can actually see the outrunner motor turning. I just think it just looks really, really cool. If you're looking for a performance mini crawler, this blows everything else out of the water in my opinion. You know, nothing else can compete with it. It is just absolutely fantastic. So number 1 on my top 10 list is the FCX10 K5 Blazer from FMS. This thing is really, really cool. I really, really like it. I've used it loads this year since I've got it. You know, I've been super rough with it. It's taken a right beating at all the different events and everything I've been to. And in my opinion, the value for money on this thing is just ridiculous. It amazed me what it came with when I reviewed it. You know, you got that really nice 11-channel Fly Sky transmitter, which in my opinion has got to be one of the best transmitters on any ready-to-run rig that you can buy. If you're into your bells and whistles, this thing is packed full of them. You've got independent locking differentials on the front and the rear. You've got dig function. You've got switchable front wheel drive and 4-wheel drive. You've got a 2-speed gearbox. You've got portal axles. Yeah, it is absolutely jam-packed full of features. And although sometimes people don't like all the bells and whistles, like personally, I don't bother with locking diffs. I just run mine locked all the time. I mean, okay, not everybody likes the body, and I'm not a massive Chevy fan, but it's a decent looking body. You can get an interior for it as well from FMS. I really love the suspension movement on this thing. The shocks are nice and soft. It gives it really nice movement. You know, when you see it moving on the rocks on the trail, it just looks absolutely fantastic in my opinion. It performs really well. It's really tough. You know, I think it's proved itself to be a durable chassis. The stock electronics with that 11-channel transmitter and the Fly Sky ESC are actually really, really good. You know, you've got fantastic slow speed control, loads of wheel speed in second gear. For $399, you're getting a lot for your money in my opinion. That's over $100 cheaper than a TRX4. If you've been on the fence about getting one, you're not sure, I definitely recommend it, because yeah, I absolutely love it. I actually prefer using it now more than my TRX4, which I never thought I'd say that, to be honest, but it is just such a nice rig to use and fairly quiet as well. Well, at least when you compare it to a TRX4 anyway. Drop me a comment and let me know what you think of my top 10 list. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Obviously there was a lot more rigs released this year, but this video was just featuring ones that I was able to review on the channel, so I actually had first-hand experience of running them and seeing what they were like. Let me know if you've got any questions. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you on the next one.